Hello, and welcome to another episode of Cal Conversations. I'm Beth Hadfield, the activity coordinator at the Center for Active Living. Today, I have our new volunteer coordinator, Kari Anderson. Welcome, Kari.
Thank you, Beth. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm really glad to have you. And in the last couple of days, you and I have had some interesting conversations about volunteering. And part of the reason why I wanted to interview you was because you had some really great experiences as a volunteer and we both thought that you should share that with the community. And then we can go in and tell everybody what volunteer opportunities we have right now. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your volunteer experience and what it's meant to you and
Sure,
how it made you
absolutely.
feel?
In the previous community where I lived out of state, but in my local community, I volunteered at the local food bank for about 11 years. And it was very eye-opening to me because I had lived in the community for well over 20 years, and I didn't even realize that food insecurity was occurring right around me. So I started volunteering there. But periodically, while I was volunteering, I realized that I was receiving, as a volunteer, just as many benefits as the people I was helping. So I really feel like I've learned over the years that volunteering is mutually beneficial for both the people volunteering as well as for those receiving it. And I can see that even around here. I've only been at Cal, as you said, for a short time, but I've already seen examples of volunteers using their brains and exercising their brains at the front desk. The volunteers are so exceptional. They're multitasking from the time they start to the time they end. They're answering phones and using the computer skills. And it's just wonderful to see them exercising their brains, which I think we all should do at any age. And it's also just moving. I feel like, some of the volunteers in the doing their donation program, they're lifting a little bit and just using their bodies. And if you don't have a volunteer opportunity that you're necessarily moving in, just even getting up and getting dressed and having a purpose and coming in here, it's just a great benefit for all the volunteers.
It so is. The Cal could not run without volunteers. We're a very small staff of 11, I think, and we have hundreds of volunteers that help us help the community,
Right.
literally.
Absolutely. Yep. And the one
Uh,
thing I also have to say is what I think is really special, which I've observed in my short time here, is how social everyone is. It's wonderful to see just little pockets of volunteers, chatting about a Netflix series they were watching, or sharing a story about their grandkids, or sharing a story about a trip, an upcoming trip. So it's very social for people as well. And I've seen, people re-engage with old friends, make new friends. So that's, I think, a great benefit as well.
in our conversation, you also told me that not only do you have a love of volunteering, but you really love working with seniors.
I do, because the food bank that I worked in, um, unfortunately, I would say about 85 to 90% of the recipients of our services were seniors because a lot of them were on fixed incomes. And it was a really, really challenge for them to make ends meet. So I became friends with a lot of them. So I developed a really special bond with so many of our clients that would come in and receive the services. And, I eventually, sometimes if somebody was sick, I would deliver their meal, their food to them. So yeah, I think that they're just all so unique. They have so many wonderful stories to share and so many unique perspectives. I love working with the seniors.
So you also said something really interesting about as you're watching the volunteers here and how things grow out of just commonalities and the discussions. Um, so would you say that volunteering could also help combat loneliness and social isolation too?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Without a doubt. I feel like I said, you're coming in with a purpose and you're making connections. You're making connections with the patrons, with other volunteers, with even the staff. I'm already starting to get to know the volunteers and developing a really, really nice bond with them. So yes, I think it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And I mean, I feel like even if some people are just contemplating volunteering, they're not maybe sure they're there yet. I would suggest and invite them to come down to Cal and just come and enjoy a nice breakfast at the Cal Cafe or just sort of observe, chit chat with some of the volunteers because it's so thriving. It's so many activities. Well, Beth, as the
Yeah.
coordinator of activities, there's something for everyone. So I think that between the volunteering and just coming here, isolation can be non-existent for a lot of
True.
folks.
So you and I decided to do this interview so that we could talk about some of the Cal opportunities that we need to fill right now. So I think in our list, let's start with Meals on Wheels. And can you tell us what positions are open for Meals on Wheels opportunities and what that might entail?
Sure, yes. Well, Meals on Wheels is one of our bigger programs that we have here at Cal. And it's super important because food insecurity is on the rise, and it's projected to increase even in Plymouth over the next year or so. And it's amazing what this volunteer team does. I mean, they're scheduled to deliver between 48 and 50,000 meals this year, and it's all done by volunteers. Um, so it's super important. We are always looking for drivers, but more recently, seem to have even more of a need. And the drivers, the meals are delivered Monday through Friday. The routes usually go out somewhere between 8 and 10 in the morning, and the routes last maybe an hour to 2 hours, depending upon how far in Plymouth you are. And the driver does not have to come back to Cal when they're done with their route, and they get reimbursed for mileage. Um, and Mary Beth, the coordinator of Meals on Wheels, is wonderful. I mean, she's kind of like a magician where she just does a jigsaw puzzle to fit all the pieces. And so she'll work with you to figure out, your schedule and where she can fit you in. But we're always, always looking for volunteers for Meals on Wheels. And one more thing I just feel like I should mention about Meals on Wheels, like not only are you delivering, nutritious hot meals to people, but a lot of times there's a really special bond that develops between the drivers and the patrons that are receiving the meals. And Mary Beth was sharing some stories with me the other day where some of the recipients of Meals on Wheels would knit a scarf or gloves for the drivers, or and conversely, some of the drivers will do acts of kindness, bring them little treats, or so I think it's a really, really special bond that develops, and the recipient who's receiving the Meals on Wheels looks forward to that friendly smile each day. So that's an added bonus to it.
I think we also need to add that for some of the people in Meals on Wheels who are receiving food, this Meals on Wheels driver could be the only person they see that day. So you do develop special bonds and have special relationships with these people. I've done many routes in my time here, and a smile goes so
Yes.
far, and people are so happy to see that.
Yes.
All right. So we also wanted to talk about volunteer opportunities in the Cal Cafe. What
Yes.
opportunities do we have there?
Well, the Cal Cafe is a cafe that opened just about a year ago, and it's thriving, which we're so excited about. And it's thriving because we have a really fantastic cook who's creative. There's different daily specials each day, and the whole operation is run by the cook, the main cook, the head cook, and all the rest are volunteers.
Yep.
So it's a volunteer team that they all work together. They do busing, they do hostessing, serving, taking orders, like food prep. They all work together. And the shifts are from 9 to 1, and the cafe is open from Tuesday to Friday. Um, so, and again, I'm not sure the exact days that she needs help, but I'm sure Kelly, can work with your schedule and figure something out.
Awesome. And we have one last opportunity, and that's the Friendly Visitor Program. Do you want to
Yes.
talk about that?
Sure, that's a great program where we have some seniors in our community that are homebound and don't really get out, and so they really benefit from having a volunteer come and visit them. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a friendly visitor, and we have teams of two, so two volunteers go together, and they visit with the senior for 1 to 2 hours once a week, usually about once a week, and they just sit and chit chat. They can, play cards, just really be a friend. Because I really believe everybody needs a friend. Um, and I also heard from the social workers, they were telling me a couple of stories saying there was one person that was having a friendly visitor, and the transformation of the person when they first started, the friendly visitors first started going and being with them over the course of a couple of months, all of a sudden, the person they were visiting was up, out of bed, dressed, makeup on. It was incredible, just because I think she was having social interaction with people and really connecting. So I think it's a wonderful program if you want to be out in the community.
So, if any of these opportunities sparked your interest, Kari is available here at the center daily. Call and make an appointment with her. Come in, talk about it. We might be able to give you a tour if you haven't been here yet. See where, your skills best fit. And there are forms that have to be filled out. There are paperwork, but that's the small thing to do, to have to bring a smile and comfort and happiness to another human being. So I'd like to wrap it up by saying that you can reach Kari Monday through Friday at 508-830-4230 here at the center. Come in, talk to her. You can talk to other volunteers. We can't run without volunteers, and we appreciate them and all of their service as much as they appreciate us. So thank you, Kari, so much for
Thank
joining
you.
me today.
Thank you.
And everyone, take care, and we hope to see you soon.